Hello everyone, in this video tutorial we will discuss about using the annotations called before test and before method in TestNG framework. So how exactly before test will work? Before test will logically execute once before executing the other tests, executing all the test annotations. Fine. Now, how about before method? Before method will execute multiple times. For example, I'll just give the before test example. Let me say in my TestNG framework or in my TestNG test case, I have one test annotation where I have a method test lunch, and again likewise I have multiple test annotations. Like let us say two test annotations, right? So let me just copy and paste and rename the method. Oh, 1 second. Yes, so now let's say it is test login. Fine. So now in the test annotation, uh, we the job will, like, we are doing something like this is the first test annotation for application launch. Right? So this is what the output if we will execute if the first test annotation will get executed. So now for second test annotation, right? So what is the output? Again, the output is like what is the login will happen here. This is what the second test annotation, correct? So two test annotations are there. Fine. So what is exactly before test annotation? Before test annotation, if I will, as it is an annotation, again we need to give a method over here. BeforeTest. Fine. Let me just give the method like this. So how it will work? It will do the prerequisites kind of thing. Like suppose I will write system dot. Now let's say it is open browser. Fine. So this is what before test annotation. So if I will execute, and all the annotations are the part of a single TestNG test case. So you can able to see two test annotations and one before test annotation. Before test annotation. So what will be the output if I will execute with all the annotations? The output will be the output of the first test annotation. That is, this is the first test annotation. That this is the first test annotation, the application for lunch AUT. So this is the first output. Second test annotation. Fine. Before executing the first and second test annotation, before executing the first and second test annotation, before test annotation will be executed. So before test annotation means open browser. This is the output will be open browser. So let me just copy it over here. So before test will execute once, before test will execute once, then all the test annotations will execute, whether non-sequentially or sequentially, that we have to check. Fine. I hope it is clear. Let us create a code for this. I'm creating a code now. Let me just get into the same project, default package, right here. Let's create a new class or TestNG class. It must not be a Java class. By mistake I was telling about new class. It is not a Java class. It's a TestNG class. So let's say before test and method. Both the annotations we are going to test over here. So this is what the class name. Now let me click on finish. Yes, before test method template has been created. Now as we discussed, I'll create two different test annotations. Just to save time, I'm not going to create many test annotations. We have already worked on test annotations. Right. Now let me copy the data from here in Notepad we already created. So my first test annotation and second test annotations. Yes, now I'm then going copy from here just to save the time. Let's say I'll replace first test annotation and second test annotation. Now let me just check what is the error. Okay. Yes. Yes. So now before test annotation. So I'll just give before test annotation. And again in before test annotation also we will have a method. So let me just copy that method definition too. This is the method. Yes, this is what the method, and here import before test. I just did it now here out. Yes, so these are all the annotations, and these are two tests. One is before test. Fine. Now let me just execute this to check the output. The expectation is the before test should execute once before executing the tests annotation inside the TestNG test case. So let's execute. Yes, so now we can able to see the two tests getting like it's passed. You can able to see total number of tests run 2, passed 2, and failure 0 and skipped 0. Now let us analyze it little more, and let's go up. Now see, before test has been executed. Right, and first test uh, output, second test output. Okay, second test output. So let me just check it once again. Yeah, first test annotation, second test annotation, then after class can be used. I think it is executing some other test case. I'll just clear this again and let me save the file again, and let's say I'll just execute the same TestNG class. Okay, so it's taking the report. before test, before after test. Yeah, no, my file name I am taking wrongly. I'm so sorry. I just took a wrong file for execution. My file name is before uh, before test method. This is what the file name. Now I need to execute this. It was quite confusing with the other file. Fine. Now I can able to see two test got passed over here. Zero failure and zero skipped. Here, see. This is the first test annotation. The application is launched. Fine. And if I'll go a little up, okay. So this is the first test annotation for launch AUT. And this is the second test annotation output. You can able the login will happen here. This is the second test annotation output. Now you are not getting the okay. So open browser. Can you able to see the output for before test? This is open browser. So how many times the before test annotation got executed? It executed only once, like before class annotation, right? It executed only once before executing any of the test cases inside the TestNG test class. So this is the output and it is coming properly as per our own expectation. Now one more annotation is before method annotation. Before method annotation. So let me just say before method, as it is again an annotation, it will have the method again. So I'm going to copy this before test method and put it over here. So I need to import before method. So this is nothing but before method annotation. Now before method annotation means what? Before method annotation will before method how it will work? It will work like before executing any test. First before method will execute. So the number of times the before method will execute is as per the number of test annotations available in your test case. So it will execute before each methods in TestNG test case. Fine, this is how multiple number of times it will execute. So if I have two test annotations available, that means the expectation is before method will execute before executing the first test annotation, then it will execute the first test annotation, then again before method annotation will execute, then second test annotation will execute. So it will execute twice. That is what the expectation. Now I'll clear the console data and let me execute it once again. Yes, yes. So now I got the output. Let me just check what is the output, how it is working for us. See this. First one is before test, open browser. Second one is before method, then test. Then again before method, then again test. Right? This is how before test and before method annotations works. The difference between before test and before method annotations is before test will execute once, whereas before method will execute before executing each test cases. So if I have 5 test annotations, 5 times before method will execute. Fine. I think I'm clear with this demonstration. Thank you so much for watching this video.